Welcome to the Data Science Show on College TV for Twain. My name is Alessandro Selvitella and I'm an assistant professor of data science applied statistics at Purdue University Fort Wayne, and I will be your host today. Joining me on today's show is a very special guest, Fort Wayne Mayor Tom Henry. Thanks a lot to Mayor Henry for being here. Before giving to him the opportunity to tell us a lot of interesting things, let me introduce him very briefly. So Mayor Tom Henry is the 35th Mayor of Fort Wayne, Indiana. He served 5 terms on Fort Wayne City Council from 1984 to 2004, representing the 3rd District. Mayor Henry and his government have successfully improved the lives of Fort Wayne residents and businesses with its constant commitment to engagement, innovation, and performance. Mayor Henry has a strong record of successes in neighborhood infrastructure improvements, downtown development, job creation, business expansions, advancing public safety, and enhancements in the city's world-class park system. In the past few months, I would say in the past year, and maybe a little bit longer, he has led the administration of the city of Fort Wayne in a huge effort to improve the safety of Fort Wayne communities in contrast to the COVID-19 pandemic. We're extremely grateful to the mayor for taking the time to come and visit College TV and participate to the data science. So thanks a lot for being here today with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So without further ado, let's start asking him some questions that I'm sure everybody's going to be interested in. So I want to ask you something about data science and importance in local governments, right? How do you, as the data science revolution already impacted local governments and your decision making, especially for what concerns the economy and education, but of course, public health and safety?
Well, there's no question that data science is becoming more and more a necessity in the administration of any municipality. You know, the real revolution for me started in probably about 2010. Before that, we used some of the elements of data science, but never really put them all together. You know, there's about 4 or 5 elements now of data science that we're finding are becoming more and more important. The initial collection of data to make sure it comes from the right sources, and then the way that it's analyzed. We're getting more and more smart when it comes to figuring out how to analyze the information and how to take it and put it in a format that then we can communicate it to the proper people. And a good example is in public safety. We're getting a lot of different ways now of analyzing different information that comes in, whether it's facial recognition technology, obviously fingerprinting, blood analysis, a number of other ways to collect data for our police department. So all of that's coming in. Well, now we need to have data scientists to be able to sit down and take all that information, analyze it, and come up with solutions or recommendations that can then be forwarded to the proper officials. So it's becoming more and more important.
Well, that's great. So thanks a lot. You've already touched a bunch of points, and I think I will pick up on each of them in my next question. So First of all, for the data collection, like so it's something which is very delicate, because if that is not done properly at a certain point, you can't use anything, and maybe the decision becomes not well funded, right? So, but that requires resources, both from financial resources, but also human resources. People have to do some work for that. How do you deal with those problems in your administration?
Well, the collection of data, as you said, is a very delicate area because a lot of times that data comes from human sources. And so if it's, for instance, if it's data collection in the area of medical analysis, well, because of HIPAA laws and a number of other delicate areas when it comes to the gathering of medical information on people, we have to make sure we don't infringe upon their rights. So that's one area. Another area is the obtaining of financial information. Again, it's protected in many areas. There's only so much we can get. And that's the real key to data collection for us. It's being able to get to the right information and be able to acquire it without stepping over the boundaries of what we were allowed to do. Same thing in the area of chemistry. We use a lot of data analysis for water purification systems and so on. So we have a lot of chemists that work for us, and they're out gathering, again, information. But there are certain boundaries, again, that we can't go over in the collection of that data. So that's a real delicate area, the collection of data.
Nice, thank you, thank you. Well, I think this also brings up to another question, which is how can, you mentioned the part which is the analysis of data that you collected, right? So which type of expertise do you need? So can, Purdue Fort Wayne provide some sort of help from both the students, the faculty, but in general, the expertise that we have on campus to support?
I think the historical classes and programs and degrees that were given in Fort Wayne were fine up until the new data revolution. Now, I think it's up to our post-secondary educators to take a look at what they're offering and determine whether or not they're taking a deep enough dive into that particular area. Again, information technology, for instance. Historically, you could gather basic information through computer analysis, getting into the data that almost now anybody can get. 10, 15 years ago, it was new. It's not there anymore. That's old stuff. A good example, I was talking to my granddaughter recently, and I told her that I finally figured out how to work Facebook. And she said, grandfather, Facebook's for old people.
That's right.
You got to do Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what Instagram is. So what was popular 10 years ago to get information is no longer applicable. Now there's a whole new level of technology. And that's where I think the colleges have to, and the universities have to really sit down and figure out what's the next level. What is appropriate today is not going to be in 2 or 3 years. Our whole technological field is moving so rapidly that we really have, you almost have to have full-time people staying on top of things to make sure that the classwork and the education instruction that you're giving to students, again, is appropriate for the future. And that's probably the biggest challenge, whether it's information technology, whether it's science, whether it's medicine, whether it's forensics. I mean, there's just a number of areas that are rapidly changing.
Wonderful. I can tell you that we have several initiatives here at Purdue Fort Wayne Radio Data Science. I want to mention one thing. I've had the opportunity and the honor to be service learning fellow for a cohort this year, and I think one of the main one of the things which was most important to that experience was realizing how important it can be to include service and in teaching and also research, right? And of course, related to this, there could be a possibility of interrelationship between local administrations and the school, right? And I think one of the things would be possibly inserting some sort of project with the students involved, because here we are very talented students, very talented young generations, and I think they surely can help local administrations and also supply in certain part also to the needs of local administrations, right? So do you think we have opportunities for our students to help and also for
I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, and not just for municipal administration. We already bring in students in the area of chemistry for our water filtration plant, and they learn how to purify water before it goes to the consumers' homes and businesses, and we learn how to treat wastewater and gray water. So we have a lot of students who are studying science, and in some cases medicine, believe it or not, that we bring in already, but I don't think that we're doing enough. Yeah, we offer internships, some for credit, some paid internships, but there are areas that we have. I mentioned public safety. We don't have very many students studying forensic science with us. And public safety is a tremendous field to get into now because of, again, the recent technological changes when it comes to the study of forensics. But also, besides municipalities, I think a lot of our companies should accept the responsibility of allowing students to go to their respective areas as well. I think there's a lot of work that can be done as far as helping educate our students.
Nice. Yes, I agree with you. Like, I think that the issue sometimes is the resources, economic resources. Right now, there has been, of course, the economic crisis now over 10 years ago, still, kind of impactful. Yeah. And of course, there's been COVID-19, which has hit again. And so that influences a lot of the choices that you make. So in these situations of difficulties, how hard it is to make decisions based also on the restricted amount of data that sometimes are available and so on.
That puts us sometimes in a very vulnerable position. If we know that there's more information that we need, or that we realize we have the inability to take a deeper look at something, that puts us in a very uncomfortable position, because then we have to make a decision based upon just the knowledge that we have at that time, knowing that there's more out there. But if we don't have the technology, if we don't have the education to take us to that next level, then it puts us in a very vulnerable, awkward position. And sometimes we have to make that decision with limited information, and that's very scary.
I think academics should do their part in this. I think sometimes we tend to be confined in our thoughts and don't think about how useful could it be doing a next step and going towards local administration. Because we forget sometimes that new science is aimed at social good, and the most important thing is to make people live better, right?
Absolutely.
And related to this, maybe I can ask you something about the difficulties during the pandemic and what decisions you were able to make. We know also from previous discussions in other venues how much work your administration had to do to prevent.
Well, we're in a position now. As a matter of fact, I just left a meeting a few minutes ago talking about our need to hire more individuals with levels of expertise that none of our staff have now. And again, that's in the engineering area. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of engineering on everything from the composition of asphalt and what goes down and what type of asphalt that we need for certain areas, to concrete, to stress areas for bridges, because we build our own bridges, and I can go on and on. But again, the education is moving along at such a rapid pace that what we used last year may not nearly be what we need now. So it's imperative that we stay in touch and work with the educators to make sure that the knowledge that they're imparting on the students of today that we can use. Because again, my staff, although they're very, very good, and they try to stay up to date on what's going on from an engineering perspective, they don't get it all. So it's again, it's imperative that we have to stay current.
I agree. It's also a question of time sometimes, because of course people in administrative positions have many things to do, so they can't retrain themselves on a daily basis.
But the bottom line though is what it's going to ultimately take is access to capital. Now I know I'm going into the financial part of the discussion, but institutions like Purdue need to be able to get sufficient funds in order to be able to produce the knowledge base that the modern day student needs to go to the employer with tomorrow's problems. If they aren't funded well, and I'm a big advocate of funding for education, because not only do our post-secondary educators struggle, Fort Wayne Community Schools and other school systems suffer, but our collegiate partners are in just as much of a strain financially. We have got to continue to finance them adequately so that they can get the equipment, get the knowledge necessary to pass on to the students.
I agree. I think one of the issues actually the one they just mentioned. Sometimes we make students lose some possibilities because faculties don't have the financial support.
That's exactly right.
At a certain point, the student body here is also people which have a job during the day and so on. They have to train themselves for the new technology, new information era. They need also some money, right? They have to pay the rents, they have to support their family and so on. So I think that's a responsibility of faculties, and I think we can do better on that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I mentioned earlier that we have to be able to capture or acquire whatever necessary information that we need for whatever problem that we're trying to solve, and then be able to analyze it appropriately and be able to communicate it. But we also have to be able to maintain it and use that as a foundation for future growth. So it's not just getting it and then forgetting about it. We've got to continue to build on it. And I think that's going to be a real key to future success.
I agree. And still related to the economy, maybe I can go forward in that direction. How do you see that data science revolution has changed the local industry or economy? So, did you see an impact also in the metropolitan area of Fort Wayne, and not just the global level, just even in the areas which is more close to us?
Well, I think it's evident everywhere in our community. What fascinates me is how so much is changing as I go out to different businesses and to different industries and witness what's going on now because of data science that I had no idea what was going on. And I'll give you a good example. We were blessed recently with the announcement that Amazon, another one of their organizations, is coming here. The one out at the airport is more distribution. This one's more of a fulfillment center. But when I had a chance to sit down with their engineers, and I was shown how they move products and how they're able to distribute products, and it's all based on analytics. It's all based on a science and how to move products in a certain fashion so they can get from point A to point B in a record amount of time. I never realized how much was behind all of that. And that's all over our city that's going on. I was out at one of our ice cream plant. Used to be Edie's Ice Cream. It's Dryers now. And to see the science behind the development of a simple ice cream cone. The data science, again, they have to collect all of this information. Some of it's scientific, but a lot of it is not just that. It's putting it together, it's packaging, it's distribution, but it all goes together. And that's what excites me about data science, because it all fits together.
Nice, I agree, very nice. I want to touch a topic which is related to politics, right? So, but not only, and which is that of fake news. Have you encountered that in your, activity as a political figure, and both at the local and the global level? So, because data science can do two things: negative things and good things. Now, we haven't talked about the negative things, but every new technology, if misused, can produce something negative. And what about data science and relationship to fake news?
You're absolutely right. Data science can be used in a negative fashion, and it has been, and it continues to be. The spreading of information, whether it's through some of the social media outlets that we have now. I mentioned Facebook, but that's one of them, obviously. And Twitter and a number of these other outlets, you can manipulate that information to pretty much say whatever you want it to say. And not just in written words, but I talked about facial reconstruction and so on earlier. I mean, you can manipulate pictures. to the point where it would take a professional to see that it wasn't real. And that's how good it's getting. Well, it's getting so good that it becomes increasingly dangerous. The spreading of false information, fake news. It's one thing for me to send out a Twitter saying something against you and making it sound like it came from somebody else or that you actually said this. But when you take that and you expand it to countries doing that to one another, there's no question that Russia had quite a bit of penetration in our last presidential election. That's taking knowledge that's been acquired through data science and manipulating it for their good. So you're absolutely right. That's a very, very dangerous road, and it's becoming extremely difficult to stay on top of that. And it's not just United States. The United States, I'm sure, does its share of manipulation as well. But even at the local level, even at our level, things that are being done elsewhere can unquestionably affect our lives. And that goes for misuse of charge cards. Once people get your personal information, whether it's Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers, other type of data, they can manipulate that for their own good. And sometimes it's extremely difficult to be able to capture it and turn it around to make it real rather than fake. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I can mention that AI researchers or data science researchers have, at least at the highest level, tend to keep in mind. I would say they keep in mind the most fundamental principles. I mentioned these already in other episodes. Like it is crystal clear that ethical values must be respected. Things like security, privacy, diversity, and all these type of things that are somehow important everywhere are also important in the use of data science. And I think it's really important to have such philosophy, but also during your class time or having some courses on that. There are many things that we can do in order to make those values prominent also in our curricula. And well, I think we've stolen enough of your time.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, you're always very kind. You're always very, very nice with us. And so it was very great, a very informative discussion. So we hope we can help in some way, and we hope to have you again sooner or later on campus. So thanks a lot for your time.
I will take that request seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. My great pleasure. My great pleasure. So, well, thank you very much for watching our show today. A special thanks to Mayor Tom Harry of the City of Fort Wayne for joining me. And again, I'm Alessandro Selvitella, Assistant Professor of Data Science Applied Statistics at Purdue University Fort Wayne. And I look forward to seeing you during our next exciting episode of the Data Science Show here on College TV. I'll see you next time. Ciao a tutti.